Prost! Alright guys, how you doing? It is the 16th of November, 2020, the year that 99% of us would want to forget. And I'd like to know how you're doing. We have another almost full month of political shenanigans, and therefore I'm going to be doing streams like this to help you forget about it. Now, as you will note, I'm wearing our friend Lethal Lightning's amazing Support Toxic Masculinity shirt. And if you guys don't support toxic masculinity, I don't know what I can do for you. You're on my channel. Come on now. Okay, so what I'm doing for you tonight, I'm going to be having a stream where I read more of this book I released in 2012, Shift, Elijah's Story, with the lovely Alexa Causey on the cover. If I ever find her, I need to throw her more money. She's a doll. She's amazing. Great girl. Woman now. She's a woman. Anyway, she posed in this non-sexual photo here because I needed somebody to pose as Sheila. I needed somebody to do the work to where they could look like a character that was kind of at her last bit of sanity. She hit bottom. And in last time that I read this to you, Elijah was getting items at a Walmart, and he hears her significant other, or mainly her other half, dump her one aisle over. And so Elijah looks and he says, "Wow, she's kind of cute." And he throws it at her like, "Listen, I'm not going to be in this town for more than 5 minutes. You want to come with me?" And he picks her up. She rides with him. She gets in that little VW bug. And then she starts to open her mouth. And that part of the stream might be forgotten because me and Makani and some other friends of ours named Dastardly, I believe, got involved in a three-way stream. And we had a lot of fun. Well, anyway, I'm going to continue reading this book because this is a fun book to read. And that's what books and stories, movies, and games should be. They should be fun. One thing about the fandom menace that has become a linchpin in society today, we can't have discussions about movies unless you are going to have a discussion that's part of the popular agenda as prescribed by they or them, if you know who I mean. So, we're not going to worry, we're not going to give a fuck, and we are going to have fun. I'm not saying that as a dictator. I'm not going to say that as a dictator. I'm not going to say that as an asshole. I'm going to say we're going to have fun, because that's my fucking enjoyment in life. I have fun by doing stuff like this. I wrote this book because I thought it was cool enough to write, and people might enjoy it like I do. I know that sounds like some word salad. Deal with it. I've had a few drinks. Oh my god, I've been drinking. Let's have some fun, guys. Loosen your tie. It's 11 o'clock at night. If you're worried about propriety on a Monday, really, I need you to rethink your priorities. Let's read. 3:17 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tanya lifts herself up from the couch. Running her hands over her sides, then gripping her breasts, she plays with him for a moment, facing Anthony. When she sees him smile like a schoolboy, she stops. "I've always wanted you to see me naked, and I've always wanted you. I can kill two birds with one stone." Anthony remains speechless, letting her words echo in his mind. Leaning against a vertical Budweiser sign from ages past, his eyebrows shimmy. While she dons her bra, "You don't have to pleasure me a second time. That was a great way to spend an hour. And I never thought the backroom couch would have such great DNA on it." Anthony laughs for a moment. "You're crazy, but I thought you were a good woman since we played together in phys ed." Shit, that was worth waiting since puberty. That was worth waiting for since puberty. Volleyball. She swivels her body to bend over and picks up her undies. Tightening herself, she lets her head pivot, and while eyeing him coyly, a devious grin spreads across her face. You've got a great ass now. He looks at the muscular rump on her. I could always feel you staring at me when I was on the front line. She stands up straight. Anthony nods. We should do this more often. I don't have anyone. Tanya nods slowly. I have to tell you that I'm married. Anthony does nothing to hide his disappointment. What's wrong, Antonio? She stops pulling up her shorts. I thought you were single! His hands are upturned, protesting more physically than anything else. His manhood droops. He pulls up his pants and underwear. They never left his ankles the entire time. I've been married for over 5 years. It isn't a good marriage, but I'm still married. She goes about the back room, kicking her clothes into a pile. What the hell? He screams at her, standing only 8 foot away. We're separated! She has lied about this so much in the past, it is easy for her to say it now to a member of the St. Louis Mafia. So divorce him! Anthony loops his belt through the clasp. For fuck's sake, Tanya, I want someone that will be around when I'm in town. Her lips curl back for a moment, like it really matters to you. I never married, so I could cheat on someone. He watches her turn away. He throws a Franklin on the floor and storms out. Speeding away from Granite City in his tuned Lancia sports coupe, he gets in the lane for the 270 expressway and screams at the top of his lungs. Independence, Missouri. Marco Hernandez watches the last of the fire investigation and other unmarked cars depart the scene. His facial tattoos give him a feral quality. The sweat rolls down his shaved pate easy. Holding a cellular phone to his lips, he clicks the walkie-talkie function of it. Quattro. His zoster strain herpes itches. He finds relief by rubbing his brown corduroy shirt vigorously. Moments later, it chirps back. Be careful, S.A. They just vamoosed. That means nothing. In the dim light filtering in from the slatted windows, with the dust flitting in like snow on a cold December day, Marco looks to his 2 Hispanic companions. Like him, they have facial tattoos with varied designs. Dressed in all black, they are kneeling with their backs against the ugly plaster walls. You good? For a second, he sees a reflection of himself in the glass. He scratches for a moment at his facial tattoos. They nod in agreement. Before stepping outside, they place on their sunglasses. The 3 human males make their way into Mac's transmission service garage. Feeling itchy or scratchy today, boss? Eldon snickers. In addition to the tribal tattoos on his face and neck, he has a tattoo of a woman on his neck reaching up and tonguing his earlobe. Quiet, puta. Marco opens a door and steps in. His companions follow. Inside the conference room, Marco points at the large bloody smear on the floor where Max has died. Eldon kneels down and sniffs some of the blood. You crazy? We know that was Max. Marco kicks him. Who else do we know that have the 10-foot spread of red from him? The money, the dope, the reds are gone. What now? Eldon McMahon is a short, stocky man in his 20s. Acne riddles his face, along with a permanent 5-day growth of stubble. Call Tiffany. She'll find out where we need to be. Eldon scowls at him, opening his flip phone and texting away on the cheap cellular piece. Jesus Mendoza, the only one of the 3 that is an actual United States citizen, pokes his head around the corner and whistles at Marco. Opening the palm of his hand, he presents 4 9mm bullets. Constabulary put these through the walls. The couple that are bloody are Sasha's. He stands at 6 foot, his hair is pulled back in a ponytail, away from his acne-free face. Good riddance, let's go. Marco takes the small arms fire and places them in a baggie. Eldon joins them again in front of the building. They look at the large bloody spot where Sasha bought it. Eldon makes a sign of the cross across his chest. The others mimic this. Jesus bends down and pushes into the exterior wall with his finger. Pulling out his digit, there are traces of blood and a small piece of cybernetic hardware on the tip of his finger. Marco and Eldon watch Jesus work, amazed at seeing him sniff the piece. After the brief display, Marco motions them for them. After the brief display, Marco motions for them to leave. We're done here. They walk down the street a block to a pair of restored 1956 DeSoto fire domes. Pearl white metallic cars. Their presence exudes cool. The hubcaps are chromed and polished to a sickening degree. Their engines growl and slowly pull away from the industrial park. Eldon drives while Marco asks, "What did the lady say?" His response is given after he flips open the phone and paraphrases everything. "We're not the only group going after this. Some Goblin Syndicate, some real sombrero wearing types are involved." Marco cuts him off. The fucking Goblin Syndicate is sending the outreach policy to deal with this? Damn it! "We have a day's head start on them, SA, from what Tiffany says. We're probably an hour behind these sunny bastards. Besides, no MS-13 member would back down from a tussle with the Goblin Syndicate." Eldon slaps the armrest out of frustration. "Easy on the upholstery. I worked my ass off to find the interior to really set the things apart. What did Branch do for you to look up his blood type? And since when do you use the internet for anything but porn?" Eldon rolls his eyes at Marco, and they speed through Independence, Missouri, eastbound. "Details, Padre. You always want to know the details." Warrenton, Missouri. Elijah pulls the VW into the McDonald's parking lot. Feeling like it's time to use the automotive items from the Walmart, he dismisses the scornful thought of Sheila. "Everyone deserves a chance. I can't prejudice her." Everyone deserves a chance. I can't prejudge her. It's my book. And I'm fouling up the audio reading, and I'm sorry for you, the listener, but I hope you're having a good time. I've only had this in the past hour. "I hate McDonald's. Why the hell are we pulling in here?" She looks at the yellow roofed building, then to the driver. Pantomiming to the sign, then to Elijah, she points once more at the restaurant. "You think I can keep my girlish figure when I indulge myself in the worst tasting fries in America?" Elijah's voice rumbles out. "Besides, I'm eating zilch from this place. I'll wait until we get into the proper before I eat. You, on the other hand, can scarf up all the crap here that you can afford." Sheila sulks, still stewing about the fact that they were pulling into it at all. "I'm not eating. I have to use the bathroom." Elijah nods, placing the transmission in park. "Don't leave without me." She touches his arm. "I have huge abandonment issues." "If I plan to let you be alone, I'll ask you to check the tires while we're in the middle of Indiana. I won't let you off in a rural area unless there are plenty of cornfields around to keep you spooked." He keeps his eyes level with her, raises his eyebrows, and opens the car door. Her eyes sparkle with sarcasm. "You're so cute when you try." She runs into the restaurant while Elijah lifts a trunk to do routine engine maintenance. In the bathroom, she takes a stall that has an exterior wall and open window. Latching the door, she looks up to ensure there are no obvious cameras or surveillance operations. Pulling her hitter box from her pocket, she prepares herself a toque. The door opens up with a pair of feet and a high-pitched laugh from a halfling. Sheila sits down, ruffling her legs together to make noise while she gets her one hit ready. The halfling woman steps into the other available stall. "Cheryl, of course I love you. I'm going to... Can I call you back in a bit? I have to be private." Sheila smiles, pulling the one-hitter between her lips. She closes her baggie and looks for a lighter. "Yes, Cheryl, that's why there's an echo. I'll call you in a bit." The female halfling pokes her cherub-like face under the stall and looks right at Sheila. "I thought I smelled that." "Oops." Sheila's getting ready to light it. Get out. I'm giving you 3 seconds to get out of my store, or I'll tell the 2 deputies that are seated getting Angus beef burgers that if they arrest you, the food's on me. Damn, and I was just going to have a selfish moment, you squint. Sheila lets her hitter fall into her hand and stands up. Move, doper. The woman walks around to the stall to wait outside for Sheila to unlock her door. Sheila barges out of the restroom, the store manager on her heels. Both women say nothing as they walk towards the door. When the halfling woman's feet touch the asphalt in pursuit of Sheila, she stops. Elijah finishes screwing on the oil cap. Looking up from his work, he sees the angry face of a halfling woman keeping her eyes steady on the half-elven woman. If you two ever come back to this store, I'll have you both arrested. She folds her arms across her chest. Elijah notes the 2 human deputies in the window. One is talking into the microphone attached to her collar. Locking gazes with the shift manager, he waves his hand to get her attention. Fine. I ask for no trouble as we get out of Dodge, okay? He slams the engine compartment shut. Is this how it's going to be, Sheila? Every time we are in public, you make a scene and some brown shirt decides to make our lives hell? Sheila gets in the VW and slams the door. Go, and don't bring your doper girlfriend back in here. The halfling taps her black work shoes on the concrete, making sure that Sheila was buckling up. Elijah's eyes register a moment of anger. He nods and gets into the car. The deputies emerge from the restaurant and stand flanking the halfling woman. What happened? The subordinate male asks. Nothing that I need you to worry about. Letting your food get cold. Shift manager walks back into her restaurant. I ran a 20 on the plates, the female deputy states. Her two-way radio chirps. Those plates belong to a VW bug that does pest control in St. Charles County. Half-orc male, Elijah Pendleton, resident of the county. Has been registered as commercial vehicle for the last 3 years. 10-4. The female deputy goes back to her table and continues to enjoy her meal. In the VW, Elijah looks at Sheila. What happened? Hey, Paula Patriot. I love your Scarface memes. Elijah looks at Sheila. What happened? Sheila opens her palm and shows her one-hitter to Elijah. She must have smelled it. I didn't even get to light it. Elijah can smell it with an open window. You have some bad skunk weed there, missus. Even with me loving the cigar, I can smell that crap. Forgive me for being born in Decatur. My nostrils are deadened. She emphasizes this with jazz hands. So you go on drug runs, the old Memphis to Decatur route for skunk weed? Elijah powers her window down. You can smoke that stuff while we're blowing wind through here, but I'm going to enjoy my tobacco product. He pushes in the lighter. She watches him to signal to get back on the interstate. I don't even need it now. As he eases the car into the right-hand lane, he looks about. So, you need that garbage? Kind of. She bites on her lower lip. Her eyes watching him. She's trying to get out of possibly getting me in trouble. He scans through the 2 rearview mirrors and the doors before looking behind him. No cops. Good. Do you have a tail? She looks behind the car as well. You mean, do we have a tail? Elijah hears a pop of the lighter. He ignites his cigar and puffs on it. You would throw me under the bus? She folds her arms across her chest, paraphernalia in hand. No. If there's a cop that decides to follow us and you still have that crap in your possession and he pulls us over, I don't have a problem. We have a problem. He points to the 2 of them. So, you want me to smoke it? She looks down at her dope. I'd rather you ditch it, but if you're going to ruin your body with something, ruin it with something that will make it better. You're a hypocrite with a smelly cigar. I don't inhale on these, missus. He lets his smoke roll out of his mouth. Can I ask you not to call me missus? Why not call me Sugar Pants and finish the knife in the heart? Sheila, I'm going to ask you to enjoy getting addicted to something different if we're going to be together. Orgasms are a fine substitution for almost any other substance. If you can become an orgasm addict, then really, you'll never have to worry about any dieting, ever. He slaps the steering wheel twice once more. What? Think about it. I'm a rough and tumble half-orc that's in his late... Think about it. I'm a rough and tumble half-orc that's in his early 30s. I look my age, but I'm not feeling it because of the physical activity I'm always in. He tenses his barrel chest and inhales, surprising her with his capacity to hold a pose. You're not buff or anything. She looks at his impressive frame and notes that under his shirt there is a tummy roll. You don't want to see me in action, though. He flicks the ashes out the window. Oh, hell no, Elijah. You might get hurt. She looks behind the VW once more. I'm saying that I like staying in shape. So if it's a benefit from a relationship that keeps me up, or the fact that I have to run 5 blocks tomorrow to get away from MS-13 members, or have a rematch with Grick, then I'll be fine. His hands are gesturing about, switching off the steering wheel while he pantomimes. Who's Grick? She dangles a foot out her window. Grick's the reason why I have a bruise on my ribs and a scar on my thigh. He tuned you up pretty good? She twirls her hair with a finger. More like a draw. He kicked your ass, she quips. No, he couldn't finish the job that his accomplice started. I put a couple of rounds through her and got out of Dodge. He rubs his thigh where the wound was previously in the day. Was this recent? This morning. He nods once, letting the fresh memories have their moment, then whip out the window like ashes from his cigar. You don't lie, do you? A green interstate sign indicating US 61 is only 2 miles ahead catches her eye. Elijah lets the question percolate while he puffs on his cigar. For a moment, he misses the sensation of the tobacco high. Why did you and Grick get into it? He clears his throat. About 20 to 40 grand worth of materials are at stake. Sheila drops her hitter. What the hell are you doing that I'm not? He changes the subject. Are you religious of any type? Listen here. I want to know what it is that you deal with 20 to 40 on these little jaunts. Are we hauling drugs? She bends her body in a way to make a contortionist jealous. From the back seat she whines. What could you be hauling? Items that are not your concern. Granted, if you stick around, you'll profit from my successes, but I'm not going to go all halfsies on you with each deal. She pulls herself back into the front seat with ease. I'm pagan, or Wicca, the way that feels good to me and won't hurt the soil I'm on. But you're all about making your brain cells die like Jonestown population with every puff. If you truly love your reverence, then why not abstain and enjoy the wealth of knowledge that comes from having a sober mind? He looks at her for a moment. She's watching out her passenger side window, playing with her hair. Seriously, I might traffic in substances that cause irreparable harm to those that consume them, but I never use what I transport around. You need a product tester during these moments at tables during these deals. Someone who is on your side so you can be sure that whatever you are being handed, that is worth you risking your skin in jail. She turns to him and puts the charm on with her smile. Elijah shakes his head no. Why not? She leans her head this way and that, then rests it on the shoulder of his seat, batting her eyelids. I'm not having a leech on my profit. If I'm going to do this, I'm either going to score big, or I'm going to the big house for hot anal and the Tuesday night bingo. Elijah has had this conversation before. Do you know why I prefer to be a waitress? It's a redundant no, rhetorical. You like to shut down conversations if you're not interested, don't you? If Elijah doesn't want to talk about it, know about it, care about it, fuck whoever's around. Elijah's all that matters, isn't it? He thumps his hands on the steering wheel again. You could be so cool if you wanted to be, Elijah. She feels a small sting in her bare foot. A bug from the outdoors left a yellow mess on her arch and part of his exoskeleton. She wipes it off her foot and flings the juices out the open window. I don't have to worry about the world being my stage. I have to worry about my skin. I get to deal with lowlifes that would gut us both if we had $5 in nickels in our stomachs. I don't deal in things that I enjoy. I do it because I can go disappear for months on end and lay low. If I did this every day, I'd get caught. You can be a good person and listen to those around you. She turns on her charm, fluttering her eyelashes. I'm not letting you change my mind on drug use or the fact I need a quality assurance lady to hang out with me every time I get ready to deal in these things. You don't even care why I like being a waitress. Both of them were getting ready to scream at each other when the VWs rammed from behind. The two of them jostled about in their seats, Elijah quickly getting both hands on the wheel and checking his mirror. In the passenger seat of the El Camino behind them is a grinning face of Grick.
I knew I'd find you, Elijah.
Grick yells at the top of his lungs. Don slaps him. Just shoot him so I can get rid of you. Don is standing on the accelerator. Grick looks at him warily. He pulls a visor down and a .45 slides into his hands.
Get rid of me, huh?
In the VW, Elijah screams at Sheila, Get the gun behind your seat. He floors it, scooting onto the soft shoulder and pouring the acceleration on to get around a semi-tractor trailer. What the hell are you talking about? Sheila looks behind her vinyl seat and sees only the floor mat and the package for Elijah. Under the rubber. He fights to get the car back in the right-hand lane and sees that his pursuit is close. I hope they put a gun in here. Don keeps it even with the VW. I swear to Allah, if I ever have the chance to make you see things logically, you'll stop being an asshole, Rick.
I'm not opposed to disposing of you after this.
Grick mumbles, drawing a bead on the VW. He squeezes the trigger the moment the El Camino hits a puddle.
Fuck!
The rear windshield glass of the Bug collapses, some of the glass falling on the back of Sheila's head. Eli! She pulls herself back in the driver's seat with a firearm in hand. Elijah takes it from her, grimacing. Sheila rakes through her hair frantically. He's shooting at us! Panicking, she doesn't see the tiny serrations on her fingers. He casts her a glance while yanking the wheel to get in the passing lane. Lean back. Behind him, there is only a semi with an empty flatbed in the slow lane. Elijah steps on the brake quickly. Sheila's hair flows forward. Elijah jams the .45 in front of her, pointing out the open window. He glances forward one more time. No traffic immediately in front of. Don sees Elijah do this and slams the driver's side of the VW. Don sees Elijah do this and slams the driver's side into the VW. Elijah drops the firearm and struggles to keep the Bug in the passing lane. The tires skitter on the rumble strip in the shoulder, then the gravel. With him tapping the brakes and turning the wheel to the oncoming traffic, he feels the tires actually dig into the median. The momentum decreases, the speedometer dropping fast. Sheila screams. Elijah turns the wheel back to the eastbound traffic and watches the El Camino rocket along, drifting along with the median. Elijah mumbles, I hate that guy. Who was that? What? Was that Grick? Sheila's eyes are streaming with tears, her hands shaking. He eases the car up and on the pavement after making sure that he will not get slammed by passing motorists. The billboard facing the traffic has a safety camera placed above the advertisement for Six Flags. That was Grick in the passenger side. Damn it, I thought you were lying. She presses her hands into the dashboard, shoving herself as far into the seat as she can go. Her foot kicks a firearm without her noticing on the mat. Elijah keeps his eyes on the billboard until he passes it. Grick laughs heartily.
Did you see that woman screaming like a bitch as it went into the median?
Don glares at him. You should feel special. Today we scared a girl.
Fuck you, Don.
Grick balls his fist and leans on.
Fuck you!
Don punches him with his stump. Grick isn't expecting it. As he flails about, he feels the passenger door at his back. Trying to stop himself from being off balance, he feels something in his right hand and tries to assert himself properly in the seat. The door opens. Don shoves Grick the rest of the way out, simultaneously yanking on the wheel to the left. Grick doesn't close the door with his exit, and Don hears him cussing while he tumbles about on the shoulder.
Fuck me, huh?
Don yanks the car back onto the right, and Don yanks the car back to the right and sees the door latch but not close. Latch but not close. Grick's momentum carries him off the shoulder and down the hill. Don watches his legs flounder up and he disappears. Elijah continues driving at a reduced rate of speed, keeping his eyes forward. She doesn't feel so spry, mind you. Sheila continues to cry. The VW ambles down the road, the tire alignment reflecting the nearly broken nature of the car. Elijah watches the hubcap roll alongside the car the car in the passenger side mirror. This poor car is going to need more love than I can give. Grick shakes his head and spits tiny rocks from his mouth. Sprawled on the grassy ditch, he picks himself up. He leans his head to the right, then left. His upper vertebrae pop.
He's mine! I'm going to kill Elijah! And his little dog, too!
He cackles as a gust of wind blows a hubcap along the shoulder of the interstate. This is not one of my finer moments for reading, but I'm going to continue. I've got about 10 more pages I want to get through. I think I can do it. Thank you. Grick cusses as he holds... Do I have cotton mouth today? It's not the beer. I drank plenty of water. I had Motrin. Alright. Grick cusses as he holds his thumb in a classic hitchhiker fashion. The traffic speeds by him, some motorists giving him the friendly bird in reply.
You people are so damn racist. I'm not here to steal your jobs, people.
Looking behind himself, he sees that he's only a few miles from Wentzville. He begins to walk the small hike.
I wish I had a cell phone to use. I could rat on Don pitching me out of the car like a hamburger wrapper. That was uncalled for.
His stomach rumbles. Beyond the full greenery of a pair of oak trees alongside of the road, he sees a sight that makes his inner fat kid leap for joy. A Casey's convenience store. Bounding down the grass along the exit ramp, he can't help but grin.
Oh boy, wait until I find a glazed donut in the case.
Doing his best Jesse James, he runs to the gas station. He bounds across the highway. The purpose of filling his stomach overrides the pain in his shoulder. Darting between the gas island and the waiting petroleum customers, he hears a siren whoop behind him. He turns around to see a Missouri State Police car pulling in the lot. The white male officer is paying close attention to him. Hey there, little guy. Where are you going? The officer leans out of the window as he pulls into a parking position. Grick gets on the concrete sidewalk that borders a convenience store.
Can't a man use a urinal instead of peeing outdoors like an animal?
Grick's voice drops with bile. Yay. Thank you. Grick's voice drips with bile. Hold on, fella. I need to see some ID. Grick tries to smooth talk it.
I need to see your badge while I eat a donut.
Grick stands still. The officer's shadow covers him completely as he steps out of his cruiser. The name tag reads Johnson. You don't need to see no stinking badges. The officer stands a full head above him. Now bat that ID and you can go tinkle. He points at the goblin, then wags his index finger. Grick pats his back pocket, and for a moment his face gets a bit paler.
I don't have any identification.
Then why is that? Patrol Officer Johnston looks intently at the wound on his shoulder. Grick tries to pull his sleeve over the bloodstain.
Because I was shoved out of a moving vehicle on Interstate 40.
Go pee. I'll follow you in.
This is harassment, you know. I'm Mormon, and I know that Missouri history isn't fond of us.
Grick pounds his chest as if he's down for the struggle. The officer leads him inside and points to where the restrooms are located. Go pee. I'll get the station notified I have an errant individual like yourself without proper papers.
This is harassment.
Grick steps into the bathroom with a scowl on his face. Johnston pinches a microphone button on his radio. Central, I have a goblin with a gunshot wound in his shoulder. No identification. The officer looks at the employees of the store and a few customers that are present. Should we notify the coroner? No, he's very much alive and citing racial inequality. Give me the days of my grandfathers where all we had to deal with was Black History Month and threats of reparations. The officer smiles and turns towards the fountain drinks. Grick looks at himself in the mirror.
Fuck me. I just wanted to use a damn phone, and I get a statey to give me grief for a living.
His shoulder aches and he shrugs it for a moment. He washes his hands after he zips himself up. Running his hands through his greasy black hair, he buttons up his shirt to a presentable degree. He steps out of the bathroom and sees the state cop waiting for him. Shall we go now so you can find out that I need to get a new wallet? I said that in the wrong voice.
Shall we go so you can find out that I need to get a new wallet?
You're pretty sure that you're clean, aren't you?
I think you're racist because you called me little guy.
Grick stays out of arm's reach. Let's go. His voice doesn't offer much wiggle room. As they step outside, the officer hands Grick a pair of handcuffs. Don't insult my intelligence, and I won't do anything but make you listen to Neil Diamond classics on the way in to district headquarters. Grick takes the cuffs while Johnson opens the door of the cruiser. The engine is purring like a well-fed feline. The customers at the gas islands are focusing their attention on the situation at hand. He shakes his head and huffs. Grick jumps up and grabs the officer's throat with his left hand. With his right, he comes about with the open set of cuffs and rips open his throat. Landing on the concrete, he lands a punch on Johnson's temple. While Johnson collapses on the concrete, Grick dives into the cruiser and rights himself in the driver's seat. He pulls the seat forward as far as possible and places the transmission in reverse. Grick maneuvers the cruiser out of the lot and onto the entrance ramp for Interstate 40.
I have an egg timer on me now, don't I? Beating the hell out of Statey should give me some nice cell phone footage to remember me by.
In the lot, employees cluster around Johnson, trying to press into the wound with a rapidly diminishing set of brown napkins. Stay with us, officer. The ambulance is on the way. The human female lifts his head while her coworker saturates another napkin. Elijah lets off the acceleration. Across US 61 on the entrance ramp, a Missouri State Police car is headed eastbound. He exhales as best as he can. What? Sheila looks at him, then to the squad car. I don't think they're after us. When we were going through all that crap back there, one of the billboards had a traffic camera mounted and running on it. He wipes his forehead. Damn, you think there are more like him down here? Maybe. District is here in the proper for STL, so maybe a lot more. Why are we going to stop in town then? Her voice reaches a high pitch. Because trying to nurse this thing along the shoulder isn't my idea of a fun time. He stops at the intersection and proceeds into town. What do you plan on doing? One of two things, either or. He feels one more snap from the structure of the VW. It's akin to standing up after being nailed by a linebacker and realizing your ribs are horribly bruised and breathing will be labored. Maybe we'll get to where we're going and maybe not. Sheila wipes her eyes. How about here? She points on the right-hand side of the road. A rust and white-colored sign reads proudly on the corner. Alex Trimbeard's Lotto Savings. Looks like it has seen better days. The rock and gravel lot has over 100 cars in various states from good to junk. Various makes and models, foreign and domestic, are available. A white block building with 2 repair bays and blinds in the windows stands overlooking the property. Pulling in the lot, Elijah gingerly sets a transmission in park. This is the last straw. The stress of it causes a loud clank, and the engine idles impotently. Elijah sighs and looks about the used cars on the premises. An older, dwarven male raises the blinds in the window while Elijah smiles and waves. "It would be nice if he'd let us use his garage, huh, Elijah?" Sheila states. The dwarf's beard is cut close, like his mustache. A silver tooth sparkles when he smiles. The older man hobbles out of the entrance door to the shop, his stature short and shoulders rounded. Wearing a 3XL collared shirt and a Ford ball cap, the dwarf smiles at Elijah. He dusts the tobacco from his hands onto his khaki pants, and with a thick Cajun accent, "How are ya?" Elijah shuts the driver's door gently on the bug, hearing a loud clang of protest from the transmission again. "Friend, have you any transmission parts for something like this?" The old dwarf cackles and nods. He spits a wad of tobacco on the gravel and motions for Elijah and Sheila to follow him. A salt and pepper hair is pulled into her lower back length braid. Elijah asks, "You're Alex, right?" The old dwarf nods his head while he walks. He says more, but the combination of chewing tobacco and the accent ruin any possibility of comprehension on the part of the listeners. Sheila laces her fingers into the half-orcs. Speaking a stuttered French, she waits for her response. The dwarf spins about, his eyes sparkling like his lone silver tooth. He opens his arms wide and clasps his hands with a speedy reply in French. Elijah watches the two of them, his eyes going from one to another and back to the first. He squeezes Sheila's hand and smiles, not sure where the conversation's going. The dwarf continues to march them around the back of the shop. He points at a wrecked Porsche 911, an early 1970s VW wagon, and 2 VW Beetles that are currently vine gardens. From his mouth, a string of French flows. Sheila barks something back in French, her tone defiant. The dwarf points into his empty palm. Sheila leans into Elijah. "This dwarf is being awful Jewish. He wants 1,000 for the transmission work." Elijah's head jerks back. "No, I'm doing the labor. Tell him 200 to cannibalize from the litter here, and we'll be gone by morning." The dwarf's eyes narrow. He looks at Elijah and, speaking to Sheila, orders a short reply. Elijah pulls 4 $100 bills from his pocket. He slaps that in the open palm of the shop owner and states slowly, "I need you to allow me to do the work. I won't take any parts from any other cars in your lot, but I need to fix my car. You can stay at the shop all night and watch me work, or you can go home." He looks to Elijah. "You taking the money, or are you going to let it drop on the rocks?" The half-orc has little time for games. The dwarf folds the bills neatly and places them in his chained wallet. Once he does this, he offers his hand to Elijah. Marco slaps a hardtop while Eldon continues to complain to the woman on his cellular phone. "Give it a rest, Holmes." Eldon shuts the phone and screams out the window, more than angry. This is what happens when you trade with a good woman for a better-looking woman with an addiction to money. Marco glances at his compatriot. "I have my own addictions, Marco." "We all do." Marco traces a finger on the paint while nodding at his friend. Eldon smiles and pulls the visor down to look at himself, feeling the wind in his bald pate. "So, what will happen when we get the reds?" "The stones are part of a ritual component. For our boss, I can only imagine that it will play into some sort of magical spell that will enhance someone long enough to place our nearby nemesis at a fair disadvantage. But I don't know how. Do you dabble in magic?" Marco enjoys a smile from a passing motorist and waves back. You think it will make someone powerful? Eldon waves at the older man in the Buick. Just for a time. Usually these things have some sort of belief that has to be associated with it. I couldn't care less. I deal with wizards and sorcerers if I have to, but I'll deal with someone especially if they're from Mexico. I don't get it. I know the Mexican heads of state have recently put some spending into the college down in Mexico City. Eldon winces, a bug in his eye. Yeah, it probably doesn't compare to what studies have begun at Oxford and Yale. Now, those places have a lot of money going into it because governments and real power players send their kids there for the fraternities, the society stuff. I don't see why someone wouldn't want to send their kid into it if it means that they'll, 10 years, be able to do that mojo or whatever. Marco's eyes have gone beyond the hills passing by, thinking of watching his children conjure chupacabras at a massive siesta in front of his extended family. All that stuff is really just a social setting for families to start breeding power through generations. The tools they give the children at the colleges are the same throughout history. The magic, or whatever you call it, is just another tool that most dynasties want to have access to. Being out in the cold leaves them like us. And for what we need the Reds. Elijah is running through the interstate system, and he's doing what he can to stay low. The Goblin Syndicate has some people looking for him, like our bosses have been doing their dirty work. Marco lets the image in his head pass. I have to say, Marco, I hate magic. I disagree. I hate magic when it's like any other obstacle in my way. However, if we don't have to deal with it, let it be. Marco, do you think that Jesus would like magic? What else raised him after burial? Marco checks behind him in the mirror, noting that his own friend Jesus is driving the other DeSoto Fire Dome. S.A., this is a conversation I don't want to understand. Alright, and we're on page 82. 47 minutes in the stream. I'm sorry about my poor performance. I am sorry about my poor performance. I'll just use a sign language for the rest of the stream.